Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Tech Ranch. We're streaming out to the Venture Outfitter. Let me go ahead and get my slides up on the screen so I can stay on point. But welcome to the Venture Outfitter. What we're here to do today is to work with each other as a community of practice of entrepreneurs that work with each other to support each other in building their businesses worldwide. Now, in our studio audience, at times we've had up to 15 different countries represented. I know today we have a lot of people that are coming in from into Austin for South by Southwest. We are streaming this out into LinkedIn and on Facebook, and so welcome. I'll do my best to try to keep track of your questions as we have questions for Marisa, our speaker today. But first off, thank you to DuoWorks. DuoWorks is a co-working location in the middle of Austin, right at the roads 183 Mopac 360. They cater to needs of entrepreneurs in that they have closed door offices. They actually do everything from mailboxes to closed door offices. Happens to be where our studio is as well. Linda Blackman, who actually started with Tech Ranch back in Venture 4th 17, runs this place, and she really does a lot of great things for Tech Ranch entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for something special, especially for the entrepreneur that's in another country that needs a physical point of presence, they really cater to that. So ask us about that. And if you're looking for co-working memberships as well, they got some great things. Part of what we're going to do is, if you're coming to Austin, some of you are going to hear this as a podcast. Some of you are going to hear it on a stream. Some of you are going to hear it just with some reposts that we do. But if you're coming to Austin and you want to, you need some support, we've got kind of an open door. Send us an email at start@techranch.com. And we can tell you more about, we can connect with you. I've got a couple different people that listen to that channel and can support things you might be looking for. So let us know about that for sure. So we've been on this series, and you see from February 16th to March 23rd, we've been on this series of different programs and supporting what you're up to, especially around the tens of thousands of people that are coming to Austin for South by Southwest. You have missed a bunch of the programs like Why Austin, How to Explore the U.S. Market, Happy Birthday Texas, Doing Business in Texas. So some of you have missed that, but I just want to remind you that these programs are available on our YouTube channel. All you have to do is type in YouTube Venture Outfitter and then whatever the subject is, and you'll see that. And obviously today we've got our March 9th suggested itineraries for March for Austin for March 10th through the 15th. Part of what we're saying is some of the things we're going to be talking about are tied to the conference called South by Southwest. And since Tech Ranch, is not a South by Southwest property, and that's someone else's trademark, I have to make sure that I say there's a little bit of at distance, because I'm one of the long-term Tech Ranch. I'm the long-term Austinites that was here before South by Southwest was. Part of what is going to be happening is there's going to be a lot of informal as well as formal South by Southwest events. We're going to hear from Marisa about that today, and I think I'm pretty excited about that. And we'll have a couple other sessions that are coming soon. Our March 16th one is going to be integrating experiences after going to South by Southwest. South by will still be going on, the music festival, but a lot of times it's my experience in working with entrepreneurs from other countries that many times there are, you don't necessarily know what to do with the leads that you just got. And there's a cultural difference about how you might follow up with one group of people versus another group of people, or what buying signals. When working with one of our Italian entrepreneurs a couple of years ago, he didn't know how to listen for US-based buying signals. And he was getting really strong signals from my point of view. He just didn't realize it. And so part of what we'll do is on that program is talk about a little bit about those type of things. And I really wanted this to be a question and answer session, so it'll be tailored for what you want to hear. We will have some slides that actually say, hey, this is a framework of thought to work within, but then some follow-up from there. And then on March 23rd, I will be in Lithuania, and we're working with the Lithuanian government on building a bridge between Texas and Lithuania. Yeah. And the funny thing is, earlier this morning, I was on Zoom with the Lithuanian government, and we made a connection between one of our Japanese startups and the Lithuanian government as well. So lots of interesting things happening. I will be live from Lithuania. We'll tell you a little bit about what's happening there. This would be my third trip to Lithuania. Was there a couple times in 2018. Each part of the world has a technology or insight to offer up. As an example, in Lithuania, you might say, what's this country of 3 million people have to offer the world? You know, because it's a small country, 3 million, right? 1/100th of what we have in the United States. Well, 65% of the femto laser market comes from Lithuania. And what is a femto laser? That just means it's a medical laser. Many of you actually have them on your wrist right now. You just didn't know it. It's listening to your heart and different things like that. This program will be a little bit around the technologies we're finding, and I'm going to start really showing, since we have so much interest in the Venture Bridge programs that we've been doing, we'll talk a little bit more about what's happening in depth. On the 30th, we have an organization called Venture Connections that's driving supply chain relationships, since there's this massive realignment of supply chain relationships away from China towards the Americas. I want to make sure that I'm clear with everyone. I'm not anti-China by any means. I am pro-Mexico, and so I'm kind of excited about seeing what our neighbors in Mexico are getting to do. We'll have other speakers that are expert in that. I personally am not an expert in the supply chain process, but a lot of the relationships that are driving out of that. And most people, I don't think, took what we've been talking about seriously until Tesla's announcement about 10 days ago, when they announced that they're going to be opening a plant, a Tesla plant, like a gigafactory in Monterrey, Mexico. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then we're in the process of finalizing dates. Christia was going to speak about creativity on that first Thursday in April, but right now we're going to change that to a different time. We'll find out from her what the timing will be. We'll have but every Thursday we will have a program. We're just starting to finalize some of the different speakers and stuff like that. And we haven't heard back from the next ones. I want to do a shout out. And so this morning when I was thinking about what I wanted to make sure I told you guys about the community, we have a new piece of community software. We moved away from Slack and onto a platform called Circle, mainly because Slack just got prohibitively expensive for what they're doing. For us to, we'd have to charge too much to our entrepreneurs to participate. And there is a free level, at least it's free at this point, and we'll grandfather that in long-term for people that get involved in the community. So if you're not on a community, I'll do a little shout out before I tell you about this one page, but go to techranch.com/connect. And on that site, you can actually see there's a button that says join the community. So please do join our community. And part of what we'll do is we will, on that site, you can actually sign up to lots of different channels. There's a health tech channel, a mental health tech channel. There is a ed tech channel. There's a fintech channel. There's some hidden channels as well, depending on the type of businesses that you're working in. There are some paid for programs that we'll be telling you about at some other time. But the idea behind this is for you to be able to connect in. Like as an example, since we've launched this new site, the ed tech community around TechRanch has been by far the most vibrant. Now, I think the health tech group is going to start really doing a lot more, just because there's a lot of bio, life science, and health tech activities happening there. But make sure you take advantage of that for sure. And in true Sesame Street fashion, for those of you all that grew up with Sesame Street like me, today's letter is letter P. And what is letter P? Well, so one of my favorite things to tell entrepreneurs about is personal development. There is a personal development channel there, and there's lots of different types of personal development. This is the one thing that the entrepreneur has to do, personal development, whether it's education of self or, I say it this way in one of my speeches. I say, entrepreneur, know thyself, right? So the idea there is if you have personal development ideas, or if you're looking for something, you can post that into that channel. We will have a speaker doing a short introduction of a program that I'm in right now. She's going to introduce a little bit about her program next week, but I'll save that for next week. I won't steal her thunder. We'll hear from her just like as kind of a quick commercial, because the main thing is, if you're not in some type of development program, you should be. I'm not going to tell you which type it should be, but this entrepreneurship, as being a guy who's 1 year away from 30 years of being an entrepreneur, it's the one thing that I've constantly had to do myself. And I think in some ways that I would really promote that be the thing. So personal development, the channel is just getting started, but take advantage of it. Next thing, we're going to be launching a special cohort of our U.S. market entry program. And right now, there are a couple of different governments that have, we have a program called the Pioneer Program, which is a dedicated coaching program. But the truth is, several of y'all have said, hey, I'm not ready for that next level, but I would like to actually get involved in just give me like a little taste. So starting on April 12th, we're going to starting on April 12th, we will have a virtual program that we're launching that will have live interactions. If you're interested in it, we haven't announced the prices yet, mainly because for individual companies that are going to get involved, I'm tempted to give you guys a really amazing price because we do have some government support for the other ones. So if you're interested, send an email at start@techranch.com and we'll respond back to you and get you details about this. But think about it's a 10-week program. It'll be every week. There'll be homework. There'll be interactions. Part of the thing that I think is most interesting about this is if you want to, I just had a team from another country say, hey, introduce me to an investor. I don't do introductions to investors. I do recommendations to investors. Why would I not do introductions to investors? If you're not ready, I'm not going to introduce you. And because then the investor would actually look at me and say, hey, Kevin, why'd you introduce me to this guy? He or she is not ready. And part of the thing that we want to do is we want to kind of help you prep that story. We've been really successful about that whole process. So whether it's an introduction to the right prospective customer or the right investor, this would be our packaging process. We've had more than 50 cohorts go through our Venture Forth program. This will be one of the first ones that we've done in a purely pure virtual way. So that's only new learning that we're going to be doing on that. But there's some interesting stuff that I think we can do in a short period of time, 10 weeks with us. If you're interested in that, make sure you send an email or you could ask us about it directly. We'll go from there. All right. So let's get to the topic of why I think most of you guys are here today. And I need to remember to open up LinkedIn as well, because I know we're streaming out there. And if you have questions along the way, or if there's some type of thing, you can always just do a shout out on the stream. I also will be watching the comments in the chat. One form request that I do make is if there are questions from people that are in the studio audience, the right way to do this, we're going to let our speaker go through her slides, and then we'll take questions at the end. And make sure you use your digital hand raise so that we can recognize you and go through that. But suggested itineraries from March 10th to the 15th. So around at least 85,000 of you just showed up to Austin, Texas. It's one of the times that it's like rarefied craziness in Austin. I think that that this year it's even bigger because the music is bigger than that number. I do not know. We're going to hear from our expert in a second. But part of the thing about it is it's easy to get lost in South by Southwest. It's easy to get lost in just the free events, much less the paid for ones. And so part of what we're going to do is we have, I have a lot of experience going to South by, more than 20 years of it. But the truth is that I actually think that Marisa Vickers, who's the Director of Global Brand Growth with Builders and Backers, I think she actually knows how to navigate this better than me because she's got a plan. And I'm like, oh, crap, I need to have a plan like she has. So what we're going to do is bring on Marisa. Actually, let's put her on screen first. Jello, if you could put her on screen. Marisa, welcome to the Venture Outfitter. I'm so excited to have you here. You know, you're one of your fanboys because of the work you've done historically for Mass Challenge, and also just being like I'm one of the original gangsters of Austin that have that entrepreneurial ecosystem culture, you know, that came straight from the hippie musicians. You are by far like from your generation of entrepreneurial leaders in Austin, you really get it. And so thank you for being here. And part of the reason I wanted you to, I know that you actually have a better plan than I have ever been able to put together for South by. So thank you for being here. Tell us all about it.
Of course, and that's so sweet of you. Thank you so much. And I'm very honored to be part of this discussion. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second, bear with me. Okay, let's see. Moving this over. Okay.
Perfect. I can see it perfectly.
Okay, nothing else is in the way? Okay.
No, nothing else is in the way. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, yeah, I do have quite a bit to go through. I actually went past the 15th and just decided to cover all of South by. There won't be too many.
And I should explain, I should explain that the 15th is typically when I tap out. And when I originally was designing this, I was like, yeah, by the 15th, you know, we're going to do a program on the 16th, and then I disappear. I go to foreign lands. I disappear. You know, this time I'm going all the way to Lithuania. So yeah, that's why I said the 15th. But thank you for including the other days, because I think there is quite a lot of other program.
Of course, yeah. And I'm kind of like you. I think by the 15th, I'll be dead. But just in case I do venture out, I have a few things that I have planned. So yeah, let's get started. Hello, everyone. It's the season we've all been waiting for. And I think the city is pretty much buzzing with excitement right now. So again, my name is Marisa, and I am the Director of Global Brand Growth for Builders and Backers. We are a national early stage idea accelerator and VC firm. They invest all the way from C to Series C. I have lived in Austin for 10 years and have participated in South by as an attendee as well as an event host. So as an active member in the startup community, I have a pretty good sense of things you absolutely don't want to miss, as well as tips on how to make the most of your South by experience. So for today, I will go over what South by is, tips and tricks, and then I'll review day-to-day events and answer any additional questions. So first off, WTF is South by Southwest. Whenever I meet someone who has never been to South by before, I find it's actually really difficult for people to conceptualize anything about South by until they finally take part in the madness. But I'm going to do my best to try and illustrate this. So with more than 278,000 attendees coming from more than 112 countries, at South by, there's something for everyone. Since 1985, individuals, organizations, governments, and celebrities from all around the world come to Austin to attend this 10-day festival that literally takes over the entire city. So sidewalks, streets, bars, restaurants, and companies are taken over, and they're replaced with conference sessions, film and TV festival screenings, musical showcases, world-class exhibitions, competitions, award ceremonies, and much, much more. But if you're new to South by, the biggest unkept secret is that you don't need a badge to have fun. And while I will go over some highlights on things to do with a badge, I will prove to you today that for the next week and a half, there will be loads of free places to eat, drink, learn, network, and discover the latest innovative technologies. So the first thing to note is that South by is broken down into a series of different experiences throughout the week. The first 4 days start with interactive, followed by music, film, TV, and comedy. If you have a badge, there are tracks specializing in different areas of those industries that participants can choose to focus on. And with a badge, you get priority in attending most events. But if you're not careful, you can be burned out by South by within just a few days. So here are a few tips to remember before you head out. Rule number 1, register for everything. Even if you're vaguely interested in attending something, take the time to register for it. From there, you can begin designing your schedule, narrowing in on the top events you want to check out. This is important because you want to go into South by with a plan. You want to make sure you're in line ahead of time. And if you're going with a team, you need to know the top places you don't want to miss when it comes to hitting industry-related events. And while using the South by app to create your panel schedule is pretty helpful, there will be a lot of unofficial events you will want to include as well. So I recommend creating your own document to stay organized. And rule number 3, network smartly. You're about to engage with hundreds of people in the next week and a half, and the chances of you remembering every single one of them while drinking over loads of free cocktails are very low. So make sure to have a networking system in place. For each event, I always start a new note on my Apple phone, and essentially all I do is I title the day and name of the event. Then if I meet someone, I get their name, their email, and I make notes of what kind of lead they may be. And then I detail any follow-ups I will need to make later with them. If they have a business card, I try to save paper and simply snap a photo of their card and keep it in my notes. So rule number 4, as a woman who is 4'11", and I love to dress up when I network, I do love to wear my heels. However, I always keep a pair of slip-ons in my bag just in case. I also encourage you to bring a portable charger and either a big purse or a backpack to hold all of the free swag you will be coming across. Sorry. So rule number 5, bring an umbrella and a jacket. Last year, I literally got bronchitis because the first few days were freezing and most of the events were outside. Then, of course, being that we are in Texas, we went from 30 degrees to 80 degrees the following week. So be prepared to pack for all kinds of weather. And then also rule number 6, stay hydrated. Drink water in between those cocktails and your liver will thank you later. And then rule number 7. I hate driving and I hate the idea of even trying to drive through thousands of people roaming downtown. So it would be much easier and cheaper to take an Uber than to try and park in the garages and lots. And if you're a bit more adventurous, then take a scooter. If you plan to scooter around town quite a bit, then I recommend paying for the day pass for the Lime scooter. It's only $11 and you'll save way more money. And then finally, rule number 8, get lost. So despite all the planning and the preparations you will make, have an open mind and leave room in your calendar to just simply roam around town. There will be so many things going on, and sometimes the best way to discover them is by accident. In some of my past wanderings, I ran into celebrities such as Adrian Grenier from Entourage. I met Rachel Ray, Andrew Zimmer from Bizarre Foods, and I've even had dinner next to Josh Hartnett. I've also come across Rage Against the Machine randomly playing for free on a street corner, so you just never know. So with hundreds of official and unofficial events popping up every single day leading up to South by, it may be hard to choose which ones are the best to attend. So from here, I will break down for you day by day so you can make the most of your experience. So on Friday, I will kick off South by going to the Equitech Breakfast. This seems like it will be a pretty fun event filled with founders and funders. And in that afternoon, I suggest you check out the Black Women in Food. You'll enjoy food, drinks, and panel discussions, hearing from Black women investors, professionals, and entrepreneurs in the food industry. And of course, don't forget to check out the largest event that evening. Capital Factory Startup Crawl is a massive event. Last year, they had 6,000 people in attendance. Fire marshals had to come in and the elevators broke down, but it was still an amazing time experiencing different interactive events and meeting founders at the exhibition. That evening, there will also be an event hosted by local accelerator DivInc. They will be discussing how BIPOC VC community are helping founders. And if you're an international founder that is visiting South by and you have a badge, there will also be International Startup Night hosted by Innovation Bridge. And starting that Friday, some ongoing events include the Future of Foods, which is actually one of my favorites. They will have roundtable discussions, networking events, and even chefs sharing small plates with future food ingredients. And then from March 10th to 12th, there's the Bloomberg Media, which will have a series of panels and networking events featuring creative influencers. From the 10th to the 13th, there will also be the Fast Company Grill House, which hosts 4 days of compelling programming and networking. Other ongoing events include Funded House, which is a private invite-only event that lasts from the 10th to the 13th. They will have specialized content for founders and funders. And then Tulsa Remote will also be hosting events from the 10th to the 13th, featuring panels, happy hours, and late night music. After the Startup Crawl, Capital Factory will also have their own house featuring 5 days of action-packed programming focused on different industries. And then also Midwest House will be on Rainy Street at Half Step, hosting various networking events, panels, and music. So one notable exhibit that will be taking place that day is also the quantum jungle. So this playfully visualizes quantum physics concepts on a touch-sensitive wall filled with thousands of LEDs. This is to model the movement of a quantum particle, demonstrating concepts such as superposition, interference, wave-particle duality, and quantum waveform collapse. Other exciting events that will be starting that Friday and lasting until Sunday are the studio activations, and these are one of my favorites. So according to Silicon Hills News, Amazon Prime Video, Showtime, HBO, and the film Dungeons and Dragons will all have experimental marketing activations at South by. So Amazon Prime Video plans to establish Prime Texas at San Jose on South Congress. The venue will highlight a variety of current Amazon titles, such as the new show Daisy Jones and The Six, and also The Boys. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson even plans to attend Prime Texas on Friday to accept a key to the faux town. And the town features sounds and photo studios, a nail salon, a semi-permanent tattoo parlor, a plant shop, and a mysterious power room. There's also locally sourced Texas-inspired food and beverages with a Prime Video twist. And they'll also have drinks at the Six Saloons, food at the Prime Cantina, and even James Beard Awards semifinalist Pitmaster will serve modern African-American fare and local Southern barbecue. Showtime is also putting on Camp Yellow Jackets at the Fair Market. This 3-day interactive experience celebrates the release of the series' second season Yellow Jackets. And then Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves Tavern experience will take place at the Highball at Alamo Draft House. It will serve fluorescent dragon's brew and the antagonist gelatinous cube. So I'm not sure what that exactly means, but it does sound interesting. HBO Max also announced it will have an in-person activation with Coffee House in Austin, and the event will be focused on elevating LGBTQIA and Latinx communities. And for those who have a badge, according to G5 these are the top 10 films that will be playing throughout South by that you don't want to miss. There's Joyride, which is a hilarious and unapologetically explicit story of identity and self-discovery. Problemista is about a guy named Alejandro, who's an aspiring toy designer from El Salvador. Bottoms follows 2 unpopular girls in their senior year who start a fight club. Mustache is about a 13-year-old Pakistani who's going to public school. Queendom is exploring the life of Gina, a queer artist from a small town in Russia who creates art surrounding by activism and queer experience. There's also a national anthem about a guy who accepts a gig working at a community of queer rodeo performers and ranchers. And there's Raging Grace, which is about an undocumented Filipina immigrant and is struggling to do the best she can for her daughter by working for an extremely wealthy but terminal old man. And then there's Hung Up on a Dream, which is about the zombies and their documentary and tell-all. And then there's also, for me, this one seems terrible, but I have a fear of eyes. So this one is called Eye String, and it's basically about a girl who has a mysterious string growing out of her eye and a cryptic message from a hotline service. And then the last one is The World Is Not My Own, which traces the lifespan of an artist who struggles to dedicate her life to art. So that's all of day 1. And for day 2, I will be starting off with the VC brunch at Capital Factory. This is an invite-only event. If you're a VC, you are eligible to receive a backstage pass to attend this. And if you're in the CPG space, I suggest checking out that afternoon the CPG Founders Meetup at Ink House. If you're interested in marketing, I would suggest going to the Create and Cultivate Future Summit. But out of all these events, I'm going to make a personal plug and say you should head over to the one I'm hosting with builders and backers. This will be at Midwest House from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. CS Freeland of the Texas Venture Association will be moderating. It'll be a fireside chat between her and our builders and backers COO, Kathleen Hill. They will be talking on fueling innovation, new tools for funding more ventures. Our discussion is great for VCs and founders to learn more about innovative funding approaches, which can be a catalyst to fueling the future of innovation by funding more types of ventures and opening more opportunities for underrepresented founders. And if you're interested in learning more about Texas Venture Association, CS will be there to talk about becoming a founding member, as well as how they are working on 2 venture bills that are geared towards helping startups. So that evening, I will also be heading over to Tech Ranch's Global Venture Bridge reception. Their happy hour will be featuring international and local Austin community. And if you love being around fun-loving Irish people, then head over to their kickoff reception at the pub. Other ongoing events starting that day include International House, which is hosted by International Accelerator. They will have open mics to pitch, a pitch competition, and investor meetups. And if you're into fashion and all of the latest trends, the Rare House seems like a fun ongoing event as well. So some other unusual panels happening that day include the art of cannabis and food pairings. This is where you get to try cannabinoid dishes. And if you're like some of my best friends who are obsessed in murder mysteries, there will also be a panel exploring the true crime podcast boom. Other training panels include the topic of psychedelics. This particular one explores how we are becoming more open to using them for therapeutic benefits. So on Sunday Fun Day, I definitely plan to hit up all things food by Food Tank. There will be lots of samples and celebrity sightings, including my favorite chef, Andrew Zimmer of Bizarre Foods. For brunch, Busey Familia and Pride Fun will also be hosting their own events that afternoon. And I will also be checking out that day, Startup of the Year. They will be hosting an all-day event featuring networking, panel discussions, and a competition. One of our builder and backer teammates, Michael Richardson, will be participating as a judge for the competition. So other notable events on Sunday include Vancouver Day. Our Friends of the North will be hosting panel discussions, music from Canada, and networking events. That afternoon, local influencer Elizabeth Jennings and Creative Denmark will be hosting an important discussion on how health tech improves women's health globally. Then that night, I will also be going to Austria Night. I've worked closely with Austrians in the past. So I'm excited to check out their party over at Thompson Hotel. And for those that love learning about space, a notable panel that will be happening includes Autism in Space, How Neuroscience is Reaching New Heights. This panel will discuss growing living brain organoids in a dish and how the International Space Station currently plays a critical role in the study of autism spectrum disorder, Alzheimer's, and astronaut health. And if you're an avocado lover like me, starting Monday, there will be an avocado house featuring guacamole, tacos, music, and entertainment. That afternoon, there will also be a female founders meetup at Ink House. And for those in the CPG space, head over to the Consumer VC hosted by local influencer, Mark Nathan and Mike Gill. And if you still aren't burned out from the weekend, there will be the Austin Tech Garden Party at Highbrow, Lowbrow, lasting from 9 p.m. until midnight. For the 13th, one of the top panel picks that have been highlighted in the news include Weathering the Storm of Black Maternal Mortality. In this panel, Dr. Dania Alarcon moderates a discussion between a Black doula, a poet, and a doctor who talk through lived experiences of Black women during and after pregnancy, as well as interventions to improve Black maternal experiences and health outcomes. On Tuesday, several international events will be happening. I plan to check out Australia House. They're going to have a brunch that morning and then a wine tasting that evening. There will also be a UK immersive party featuring those in the entertainment sector. And if you want to do business in Asia, the Greater Austin Asian Chamber of Commerce will be hosting a Hong Kong reception. In the afternoon, I also recommend dropping by the Line Hotel and checking out Impact tomorrow. They'll be providing some content on how to build your business as well as tacos. And then on day 6, 2 notable events happening that day include the House of Fashion. They'll have a day full of fashion activations, creators, startups, and a fashion show with celebrity DJs. And if you love Kiwiland, New Zealand House will have a day of musical performances and cocktails for badge holders only. And then for Thursday, you can cure your hangover at the Bloody Mary event, which also has free breakfast tacos, food trucks, and music. If you're in the creative industry, there will also be a music and tech event happening at Concrete Cowboy. And another annual activation that happens every South by, it includes the famous Doc Martens event. So on the 16th and the 17th, they'll have 2 days of music. And if you want a South by souvenir to remember forever, they'll also be giving away free flash tattoos. Several years ago, I actually got one on one of these. And now I have a rose tattoo on my right foot. And if you're a RuPaul fan, 3 of the top drag queens from the famous RuPaul's Drag Race, Jada Essence Hall, Gottmik and Simone will join the Trevor Project in a discussion that day talking about how to create more safe spaces for LGBTQ and youth and how we can create a more accepting world. So for St. Patrick's Day, celebrate by heading over for brunch at the Full Irish Breakfast. Then you can jam out to 14 hours of Irish punk music at the South by St. Paddy Showdown. And if you're looking for more music, Coca-Cola will be featuring live artists along with some custom cocktails. And also, if you're an EDM fan like me, the biggest dance party on Saturday will be Cascade and Den Mouse at Moody Amphitheater. If you have a badge, it will be absolutely free to see them. Otherwise, tickets start at $100. And one thing I did learn last year while going to the show at Amphitheater during South by, do not bring a backpack. They will not let you in if they do. And then finally, the best event of all at South by will be the Puppy Party. So you can cure your South by hangover that Sunday by heading over to Lester Pearl East to drink cocktails and then cuddle with puppies, and you can even adopt a puppy. All right, that's it. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Marisa. That was beautiful. Yeah, and I think it's, and I love the fact that you actually have set up such a diversity of being able to pick out different events and stuff like that. Yeah, thank you for that. And I want to make sure I second the thing that that Marisa was saying. She said that follow-up process that she just laid out, where she was using Apple Notes and stuff like that, that process is really powerful. There's been times in the past that, you know, I've come back with a big stack of cards, but I don't really know the context. People don't really understand. They're just saying, I've been to conferences before, but you haven't been to South by Southwest, and it's not another conference, right? It's like it's crazy the way that things are set up that way. It's just you know, it's interesting about how difficult it can be. The other thing I want to make sure that I mean, in my case, just to mention it real quick, I take a photo of the individual, I take a photo of their card, and then use my photo stream as that whole process. And then I hand some of those off to Jello, to my assistant, to actually make sure that, especially, you know, this person I really need to meet up with. Marisa, any other suggestions that are top of mind that just, you know, you mentioned a couple different things that that are like the little, like, just like you mentioned, the battery to have for your phone, because most people are so used to, oh, my phone never runs out. Yes, it does. Any other thoughts like that?
I find that that's what I always keep. I use my phone nonstop, especially if I'm like sharing my LinkedIn and things like that. One thing I was talking to my team about, we are having like a QR code going around. That's also been very helpful. There's different like apps that provide that. We use Digify. It's actually one of our portfolio companies, where you can just create like a little storyline having like your phone number, your email, any other promotional things you want to use, and then just have that QR code and people can scan and save it. I've also used other platforms like Link. They do something very similar. So that's also one way to quickly catch everyone's information. But again, I use notes still to make my notes on like, okay, this is the person I talked to. This is what they do. This is where I could see them being a great fit. So when I do all my follow-ups later on, I know what I talked about with them. I'm like a fish. I have like a 5-second memory when it comes to meeting people sometimes.
Yeah, we know it's so difficult. It's like it's crazy to all the different things. Well, a couple other ideas real quick from Amazon. I got one of these Popl cards, POPL, and you can get it for $5 to get in. If you're handing out business cards like this, I have gone through 500 business cards during a South by. Now I speak a lot. Like there are days over the next few days that I speak twice during a day. And so I am like handing out cards, but this has been a little bit nicer. Now me as a dyslexic though, I like receiving the card. I actually like receiving a card, and 30% of American entrepreneurs are dyslexic. Most people forget that. There is a power to actually having, you know, it's not just the Kevin's old school. It also is that there is a power to knowing that. But that being said, this is a good backup. The other thing that we do at Tech Ranch, and I'll get a copy of it in just a second. We have I have my business card, and then I have a card that's like the next step into our funnel. If you're interested in getting into our funnel of, being on our radar, I have, don't send me an email, go straight in. Anything else, Marisa?
I think that's it, but I do see, not to call out anyone, but I do see YJ Lin is on the discussion right now, and I know he has a competition as well. So I forget, and forgive me, I forgot to add that into the deck. I saw that this morning on LinkedIn that you're doing that, and so if you want to plug in that, definitely plug that in.
Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a super last minute. You didn't have to call me out like that. I'm just happy to attend, and I'll definitely visit some of the South by events as well. But I do work for the Delft for Startups team, and on March 14th, on Tuesday, we are concluding all the pitch competitions that we did last year. So we did pitch count competitions in Atlanta, Houston, Santa Clara, a bunch of other places as well, Miami as well. And so we finalized 6 competitors, and we're giving out $100,000 in cash. What does that mean for everyone else? Well, we actually have a few partners that will be there. We have a bunch of executives on the Dell team supporting the global consumer small business and startup space. And we have a phenomenal speaker from our D&I team that will also be moderating the whole panel, who has so much more energy than I have, and also come from a startups background. But besides that, a lot of free drinks and food, and a lot of great conversations to be had, and hope to see y'all there if y'all can make it.
That sounds great. Yeah, no, I've got a long history with working with Dell as a client. So I'm going to come crash your party.
Oh, please do. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right. Well, since I have the cards real quick, this is my business card, but then this is the first step into it. And they're so cheap. Just print up like a step into whatever your funnel process is. That can be really powerful, because a lot of times more emails, at least in my case, doesn't necessarily move things forward. But, if someone wants to do something, you say, hey, this is your ticket. That can be a really powerful thing to do as well. Marisa, any other thoughts?
I think that's really it. I think just have fun, and also still go with the flow. And I think that's
go with the flow. There is a lot of FOMO. Yeah, there's a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
I think that in my case, the best South bys that I've actually been a part of have been the ones where I'm just in my case, where I've just allowed it to happen, and the most profound connections have happened. Because a lot of times at a panel discussion, unless you know the person that you want to make sure you target, it's hard to actually really create engagement around that. The other thing I want to make sure I say is I have made the mistake more than one year about enjoying the level of alcohol that can be received at South by. This year, I'm going to be a teetotaler. I mean, not totally, but because I had a drink last night. But the truth is, it's like it's kind of like the Austin version of Burning Man in the streets. You can go over a little bit too far if you're not careful, and so be really careful about that. Between not getting very much sleep and having too much alcohol, that can really ruin you're here for business reasons for the most part. Some of you are not, but that's okay. But from the standpoint, like the entrepreneur who's building his or her company, you want to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. We'll take some questions back and forth. I'm going to look back to the LinkedIn and see. I know that we had a little bit of things coming back and forth, or there's been postings, but let's see. And they keep on. Let's see. Brandon Davis posted, we have a long list of events here, austineo.com/squeeze and austineo.com/South by Southwest. And then Melvin Hall is out there, one of our resident Marine veterans. He says he loves the letter P. So, let's hear it for Sesame Street letter P. For whatever reason, the LinkedIn is not updating all the different texts. So if you have other things that you'd like to say, let us know. Kim Johnson just asked, will the presentation be available or the slides be available on the community site? It went very fast. Can we link your presentation onto the community site?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm putting in actually the chat right now, the document with all the events that I was talking about, as well as additional ones. And I'll also be linking Tech Rancher's list to this as well under the additional resources. And in the additional resources, I also have the deck that I just shared with all of you. So I can put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, just for everyone to see what she just shared. And we'll make sure that this is in the community site What we do is every week we post in the community sites, the View Weekly with the video, and then all the follow-up links. Like if you have questions for, for our speaker every week, we typically ask them to stick around for a few days in that link. So this is her public calendar, and you'll see as well. I have one that's kind of my 2023 South by Southwest, another map. This will be available as well. It has a lot of the different speaking positions where I'm speaking a lot this year. I'm actually not speaking at the formal South by Southwest event, but a lot of the countries that we have that we're working with, we're going to be interacting with. So, and if there's other stuff that, I always love getting a shout out to say, hey, go here, because I always miss it. I'm not as well planned as Marisa is on that sort of stuff. So we'll make sure that both of these links to my map and her map, as well as to her slides, are available inside of that. And that would be the best place. A lot of times people ask me as well for a direct context to our speakers. Some of our speakers like that, some of ours don't. The way to do this, that we do try to take care of them, is to, because a lot of people will have the same question, is to have that thread in the community site. That way, if she answers it once, she's done, right? And she's not having to answer lots of emails, especially during this period of time where, she's got a big delegation, plus her company, plus all of her events. That's the best place to handle this sort of stuff. And, to gain access to that, it's free. So it's not like there's a big lift. Other questions from anybody? Let's see. You guys are quiet today for sure. Okay, let me look online real quick. Has anyone else registered for the Inc. Founders House? It is free. I do not remember if that, and Kim Johnson just asked that. I do not know. I definitely registered for Fast Company's lunch. One of the things that's really important to notice is there are a lot more events this year that are outside of the bubble around downtown. Some of them are at the Asian Chamber, kind of on the east side, like the far northeast side. Some of them are actually up here, like the Czech government is doing activities at the Renaissance Hotel, which is in the Arboretum area, which, that's a 20-minute drive on a good day to downtown. So it's important to be aware of. Anything else, Marisa? Hey, you guys are being quiet. Let's see. This is my.
Could I ask a question, Kevin?
Yeah, go right ahead, Jesse.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Hi, Marisa. I think you guys talked about community site just now. Could I ask, where can I access that? There's just so much information.
Yeah, no worries. What we'll do is the easiest way for people that are listening on the outside, what I'll do is Jello will paste the direct access into the community site in the chat. But for anyone that hears this, that like perhaps is listening to one of the streams, you can go to techranch.com/connect. And at this time, we have the community access open. We have a couple rules about the community. The community is not for spamming lots of other people. The only thing that will get someone kicked out of the community at this point, at least, is just spamming people with lots of different, just marketing. There is a place to make requests though in the community. It's the # request channel is a great place. So if you are looking for customers, or if you're looking for a business partner, you're looking for an accountant or something like that, the # request, it's just the channel called request is the place to do that. The only thing that I ask as people are getting involved in the community, and especially as we move all the activity from our old Slack platform over here, is that you don't spam people, right? That's just not what this is for. And it's not to harvest contacts. It's not to spam people. The only way to get on my guaranteed, I don't know, I won't use a negative word, bad list is to actually do that, because we will block you out of the community. We've had to do that only a handful of times over the course of the TechRanch's history. The main thing about it is we have this community of practice that is all there for mutual support. And it's really powerful. It's like being involved in an open source project can be really powerful. YJ Lynn said, what type of content do you appreciate the most? Marisa, why don't you take that, and then I'll put my little 2 cents in as well.
For me, it's a variety of things. Personally, on a personal, I love all the food events. I always find that really fun. But for a professional, I always find that the networking events are honestly the best way to really get, like different things like shared and learning, what everyone is doing in the area and in the industries and specialists I'm coming across. So I always find the networking events are very valuable, but in general, I think for like panel discussions and things like that, I always believe in like professional development. I love, going to things that are like maybe the marketing summits, just because, I always feel I can do and learn from the best and learn more and meet the experts that way. So it's kind of more about going in what you want out of South by, and then kind of just narrowing in on that. I also see someone asked kind of a similar question, like my top events to go to, the top 3. I think for interactive, the startup crawl is always like when you just don't want to miss, especially if you're new. It's overwhelming, but it's definitely the best. And then for the next few ones, let me think about that. I'm always excited about the international houses, and I'm sure you are too, Kevin. Those are like honestly my favorite ones as well, next to the food ones too, just meeting all the different delegations and the governments that are coming through and seeing if maybe there's opportunity to do like more international business. So that's probably, up there.
Yeah, let me take a stab at the both Amit and YJ's questions. I like to think in terms of 3 categories, and your 3 categories are going to be different than my 3 categories. You asked for what are the top 3. Amit asked what are the recommendations for the top 3 must-attend events. Your top 3 are going to be different than my top 3, but I'm going to give you the buckets to be thinking about because I think it's important to have a lens. The worst part is you're not going to get to see most everything, right? 100,000 people, 85,000 people. I don't know what it is this year. I mean, Marisa said 200,000 people are showing up, right?
That was some last year's statistics. 200.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I remember back when, it's like, let me get my, my old codger cane over here. I'm like, I remember back when South by Southwest Interactive was just a bird of a feather session, right? And we were like, hey, we're technologists, but we live in Austin. That music's cool, but what about this piece of technology, right? It's kind of funny. So I kind of come from that old frame, but in that frame kind of informs the way I think about it. You should have 3 things. What do you want for professional reasons? What do you want for passion reasons? And what are you going to do for exploration? I'll start with profession. Marisa just picked up on mine, right? It's like I kind of play this role of being Austin's entrepreneurial diplomat. I've been in 27 countries in the last 6 years. I work with a lot of the international delegations. I'm typically one of the people that gets to meet all the ambassadors that come to town and stuff like that. I love that, by the way, because we need someone to bridge between the technology world and the true diplomats. And so I kind of play that role. So you'll see me at the country houses and stuff like that. You're going to see me at a bunch of the different international things. Majority of the people that are coming to our reception are going to be, of that ilk, because, between kind of being this diplomat role and kind of being a global innovation broker type of guy, those are the 2 things that I'm doing in my profession bucket. So let's go to the second bucket. The second bucket is the passion bucket. What are you passionate about? Now, my passion area is a little bit different. Yours might be baseball. It might be some, other type of, you can find whatever you want to find. You can find whatever you want to find. For years, the founder's pet project, my pet project, was mental health startups. And there's now been, because of what happened during COVID, there's been this explosion of new technologies that are coming out because there's a lot of people really suffered during COVID, not only with the disease, but also mental health wise. And the thing that is explosive research that's coming out that's very interesting that South by Southwest has picked up on is all the activities around psychedelics. And I'm not talking about, being a drug user. I'm talking about therapeutically applying psychedelics to people who have untreatable PTSD, and that are on suicide watch kind of things. I mean, it doesn't have to be that bad. I think that the main thing is I'm passionate about that because I'm like fascinated with the outcomes that are coming out of that. If you don't believe me and you want like one step forward, go look at maps.org, maps.org. And you'll see that that the MAPS organization, Rick Doblin, I think, is going to be one of the speakers at South by this year. They have come up with a protocol for vets that have untreatable PTSD. After one treatment, not one series of treatments, but one treatment, 60% of them are saying, wait, I don't have PTSD anymore. Okay, that's my passion area. Some people like football. Some people, want to find out more, plug into some type of, racing thing or something like that, or F1 or whatever it might be. This happens to be my passion area. Then the third thing is exploration. Exploration is, what would I absolutely not do or maybe not consider doing? Just because, I don't personally identify with anything about this one category. On Marisa stuff, I don't think that I'm going to be exploring through cuddling puppies. That's more of a Marisa thing, right? But it could be something like I'm sensitive to some of the LGBTQ kind of issues. I'm sensitive, but I'm a white male, straight, well off, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't. It's not my thing. But I might actually go look at that and listen in a pure exploration kind of way, just to understand what are the things that are happening there. And I think that not enough people, when they put together their plans, do the exploration thing, whatever it be. And it might not be that issue. It could be something totally different. It's like every once in a while, since I'm a student of innovation, the thing that I think about with regards to this is sometimes you can learn things. Like one of the reasons I'm passionate about also being international is a lot of times the problems that we have in the United States have already been solved for in other parts of the world. Okay, let's go to another part of the world and learn. Like I was just in Uzbekistan and I have ideas for what may be possible here. That's a good example. So profession, passion, exploration. I know we're coming to the end of our time, but I'm just wondering, I talked a long time. I apologize about that. Any other questions really quick before we start closing up things, or any other statements, Marisa, that you'd like to make?
I'm good. I just hope to see some of you while we're roaming around. And it would be nice to meet up with any of y'all while you're out in town. I hope you have a great time no matter. Just have a fun South by.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, Marisa, thank you so very much. I appreciate that what you do for the community of Austin, and then what you've done for your local network. I mean, your local family tech ranch, right? You've had an impact, a positive impact on our organization, and you're having a massive positive impact on Austin. So thank you for that. Thank you for putting together all these different tools and stuff like that. I look forward to seeing you. Nothing else, be there on Saturday night at the Tech Ranch Global Venture Bridge reception. And thank you for everyone else that's there. Let's see. I know there's a couple other things that are coming in based on what's there. Let's take part of the follow-up conversation onto online. Make sure that you follow up there. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close up and say thank you again to Marisa. Make sure you follow up with her. Look for her at Builders and Backers, their event, as well as the other stuff that's on her list. If you have any other questions, one of the fastest ways of connecting into the Tech Ranch network, get on our newsletter, get on our into our community. If you represent another country, like it is, as an example, I just got an email earlier today saying, hey, Kevin, all that stuff you're doing with these other countries, have you considered Vietnam? And I'm like, one of the first engineers that I ever hired for one of my first startups was a Vietnamese engineer, and he kicked ass. Part of the way that we can extend this network together is to get involved as one of our country managers. It's a volunteer position, but a couple of my country managers have now become business partners with me in other ventures. So you can take advantage of that. Go to techranch.com/connect and sign up. and we'll go from there. And so with that, this is my closing slide. Those of you all that are in the studio audience, you can stick around after we stop recording. But let's just say this: it's always an honor to be a part of a community of practice of entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values. Let's go change the world for the better together. With that, we're out. We'll see you next time. We'll see you out in South by Southwest. Thank y'all.